there was a lot of excitement around the Game 7. And unfortunately, when that injury happened, I knew we were in for kind of an ugly affair. And I thought, I wanted the Pacers to win. I had some skin in the game, if you know what I mean. No skins on the wall after that loss for me, because the skin I had was for the Pacers. So when the Pacers lose Halliburton, you think, okay, this is going to get ugly. But it was such a clumsy completion of the second half. And the second quarter, the Pacers were leading at half. And I'm thinking, man, there's a chance they can do this. Now, we're going to talk about the ESPN, the pregame, and the halftime show. The one thing about halftime, I thought, ESPN did such a tremendous job getting on the air. First thing Mike Breen does, Richard Jefferson, 2016, the last Game 7. You played in Game 7. What's it like? Jefferson gives an amazing answer, whatever. They go to halftime. I was very surprised they didn't go right to Bob Myers about, hey, this is exactly what happened to you when you were the GM of Golden State in 2019. They didn't seem to get there, which I thought was somewhat surprising. I am in the extreme minority, I believe, waking up this morning and being online last night. I don't mind that pregame show. I don't mind that group. I don't mind the talent that ESPN has assembled to bring us the NBA. We are now moving towards some change as far as the pregame show is concerned, with the guys from TNT coming over. And a lot of people, from what I can tell, are going to welcome that change. We're going to dive into that situation later on in the show. But as we stick to the game, Oklahoma City opening the door with that. By the way, that first half, they were tight. That was Game 7 playing at home tight. They were 4 for 17 from 3 in the first half. Again, that is a target-rich environment for a Pacers team without their star on the road looking for a door to open that they can blast through and pull off a miracle in the finals. But in the second half, it was too much. It was too much defense, too many turnovers, too many key turnovers. And this was something, a quote that I read this morning, that is, and it's not a knock or an indictment on Obi Toppin. It's actually, I appreciate this because he's being honest. And I think this is a thing that we can all look at. And when we see it, it's refreshing because it's so transparent. But he says, I was thinking about it the whole game. This is Toppin on Tyrese Halliburton's injury. That is a window into part of the just a trying situation it can be for a player to try to move through a moment like that when something so catastrophic happens to his team. And now, if he's saying that, I got to believe other players are thinking it. And it's sort of the effort of the Pacers. And this is, again, you're playing a better team. You're on the road. You lose your star. You're screwed, right? And they got exposed throughout the game. One, because it's one of those deals where, okay, we lost him. Who's going to step up? It's a Game 7. Toppin disappeared. TJ McConnell came in and tried to take over. And that's something I wanted to talk about. McConnell finishes the game with 16 points. He had like 10 straight, okay? He also had 7 turnovers. I understand that it was like Linsanity for a couple of moments there, watching TJ McConnell do his best Jalen Brunson impression, and it really did remind you, like, God damn, TJ McConnell is good. His ability to get down the floor and get to the hole against bigger guys, it's like a masterclass. At the same time, not that he was freezing out the rest of his teammates, but you got Pascal Siakam. He barely shot in the third quarter. And that blitz by McConnell, although successful, saw him turn the ball over 7 times. I saw Toppin turn the ball over 2 or 3 times in succession. Toppin finishes 0 for 4. By the way, he said it. He couldn't get it off his mind. We could kind of tell, right? And the McConnell thing, as exciting as it was and as Rudy-esque as it was, I was like, that's short money right there. I was watching at home. I was thinking, like, there's no way that TJ McConnell is going to lift this team consistently to the production they need so they can win this game. And then we saw Mathurin down the stretch late do what he could. Constantly, you saw all this, like, it was a rush here and then from the Pacers, here and there from the Pacers. And of course, in the back of our minds, I'm thinking, man, maybe there is a chance. Maybe there's a chance they can pull this off, especially when Mathurin puts together that flurry. But it wasn't to be. One of the big reasons it wasn't to be. The backcourt of off the bench, Alex Caruso playing 32 minutes, scoring 10 points, having no turnovers was amazing. SGA, 29 points, 1 turnover. Now, the guy's 2 of 12 from 3-point, but you also look at the fact that he's 11 of 12 from the free throw line. Regardless of how you feel about his ability to get there, those are the guys who become transformational players in the NBA. Players that can shoot the three. Last night, obviously, he had trouble, but players that can shoot the three and have such explosion off the dribble that they can get to the rack, right? And they're long and athletic enough to make shots in traffic and to make difficult shots. SGA is that guy, and his ability to do that and get to the rim and get fouled and go to the free throw line is that extra thing that makes him so special. He was absolutely phenomenal last night, doing exactly what he needed to do, right, to get his team to a championship. So Oklahoma City wins the title. And I was happy to see OKC win. One, I was happy for Sam Presti. He's done a tremendous job as a GM, and he's been doing it for years. Now, you could say the magic of working in Oklahoma City, if you're Sam Presti, he did get the grace, not only because of his success as a GM there, from the early stages in his career after coming over from the Spurs, but also, you know, when you're in a middle market like Oklahoma City, the ownership group and the fans give you a little more grace. There was a point in time there where the Thunder kind of stepped back, they amassed draft picks, right? And then they do their thing. And here they are now with the championship. One question you could ask, and I'm on the fence for this, right? Is it their organization's second title or is it their first? Because Seattle won one. I think it was in 78, right? They beat the Wizards or the Bullets at the time, and Dick Motta and Wes Unseld. But I'll say that this is the first of the organization's history. That's just kind of the way I look at it. It gets so tricky too, as like a former PR guy. That's such a headache. Like when I was with the Bobcats, and then they became the Hornets. Because they actually took the name back from the Hornets, but the Hornets were actually, had already moved, right? So it was a whole deal. It was like the Pelicans had moved. Because initially the Hornets were the Pelicans. You know the deal. I'm doing a terrible job of describing it because I'm confusing myself. But the bottom line is those media guys were a pain in the ass to put together after that. I can say that some of the heartbreak around the Halliburton injury is in part because I believe that the Pacers had a real shot of winning that game if he had stayed in there. I want you to think about this. He's 3 of 4 from 3, so he's hot, right? Of course, it's likely that he runs into some trouble, right? And he has some problems, maybe making shots or getting open. But at the same time, you think about it, right? The Thunder played tight. The Thunder had trouble making shots from 3. If Tyrese Halliburton continues to play that game healthy, and of course we'll never know, and this is, for instance, I'm just pontificating here, but if he continues to play that game, I think the Pacers win. Because I think that, honestly, I think Indiana could have built a lead at halftime, maybe 10, 11, 12 points, and you just get enough room between you and the Thunder to ward off some of those big runs, right? I think they would have had more of a shot. But nevertheless, the Thunder, they win their title. And now we get to turn the page back to last week when Scotty and I went toe-to-toe. And I think Scotty had a great point. And I think this goes more into, as we look forward in the NBA, does the Thunder have what it takes to sustain, right? Does the Thunder have what it takes to reel off a couple titles in a row, or let's say 2 titles in the next 4 years? And then then maybe 3 and 6 years, right? Maybe you're talking about what I would define as a dynasty. I'm sort of hung up on what Scotty said last week, that the West is so good. And we're going to talk about that when we come back. because we're going to talk about Kevin Durant going west. We're going to talk about the odds going into next NBA season. And man, they were changed. The odds continued to change all yesterday afternoon into the evening, right? You had the Durant trade, you had the Halliburton injury, you had the Thunder winning the title. The odds makers were busy last night in Vegas, and you'll be pretty interested to see where things stand headed into next season.